Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, pretty much on cue, exactly as we expected, as predicted, not really a surprise to anyone, Donald Trump is surging. Look, if this is all part of the Democrat 3D chess plan, maybe I'm missing something, but the theory was that they're deathly scared of Ron DeSantis. Even Ron DeSantis shills will tell you that. So they're artificially trying to boost Donald Trump's support, hoping for a Trump versus Biden rematch. They're trying to ensure that Donald Trump wins the Republican primary by indicting him and casting him as a martyr to the Republican base. But I don't know if that's the case, and even if it is the case, well, I think it's going beyond the Republican primary process at this point. It seems as though Donald Trump is not only getting a boost against other Republicans, but getting a massive, at this point irrefutable boost against sleepy, creepy, piss pants loser, presidential disaster Joe Biden. Maybe Democrats went a little bit too far, bit off a little bit more than they can chew on this one, as Donald Trump is now, according to early polling data from a couple reputable sources, not only beating Joe Biden, but absolutely dumpstering him. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on with this new set of data. We're slowly creeping towards election season and things are getting real. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, these are two polls that you do not want to be down in as a Democrat candidate. The first poll is Rasmussen. Democrat shills on Twitter like to claim that Rasmussen Reports is really just a biased Republican poll, being used as right-wing copium during election seasons. Of course, that's not the case. Rasmussen is a very reputable source, and keep in mind, Rasmussen has been very favorable to Joe Biden recently in terms of his favorability rating, approval rating, and hypothetical matchup in the presidential election for 2024 between him and Donald Trump. Well, after the Trump indictment, it's completely flipped. 2024 presidential election poll now has Donald Trump at 45% and Joe Biden at 39%, a +6 lead with likely voters. You do not win as a Democrat if you are down 6 points. It's early polling data, and of course, it's not exactly going to translate one for one, but if the trend starts moving towards this direction in general, you do not win. Generally, Democrats need to win the popular vote by anywhere from 4 to 5%. And even in those cases, like in the last election, for instance, it's a nail biter. Joe Biden getting by in 3 states by incredibly slim, less than 1% margins. Well, supposedly now he's down 6. Some people will criticize the fact that that's likely voters and not registered voters with the whole new ballot harvesting system and increased voter turnout. Can't rely on likely voters anymore. Well, it's not just likely voters, and it's not just Rasmussen Reports. We now have Harvard Harris, which again has been relatively accurate, but for the most part, in certain portions, extremely favorable to Democrat politicians, especially Joe Biden. Even after the failure in Afghanistan, Rasmussen Reports had Joe Biden above 50% or close to 50% approval for months on end, when other polls were showing him tracking towards the 30s. Well, even with a Democrat-favored pollster, Trump is up by the exact same numbers, 45% +6 over Joe Biden's 39%. And this is registered voters and a significant sample size of 2,100 people. They also have Donald Trump as the absolute frontrunner and nearly 60% support in the Republican primary. Ron DeSantis down at 14%, completely cratering. But the most important thing is, what is driving this new shift? Well, I'd say the data is right over here. From that same Harvard Harris poll, as you'll see in the chart, 55% of Americans say that Trump's indictment is politically motivated, including 83% of Republicans and 55% of independents. 56% consider Trump's federal indictment to be an interference by the Justice Department in the 2024 elections. This gives me faith. I have been furiously ranting into this microphone for years, talking about the corruption and weaponization of federal agencies being the truest form of election interference that we've seen as of late. Democrats go on and on about election interference. Obviously, it's an important issue. Obviously, people care about it. I mean, it won Democrats a huge landslide in the House in 2018, pushing this narrative of election interference. Well, that was a bogus election interference claim. This one's very real. And now you have a significant majority of the American population of registered voters, not just likely voters and not just Republicans, a majority of independents as well, finally opening their eyes to the deep-seated corruption in Washington. In other words, the infamous label of the deep state. For years, well, it's an Alex Jones type conspiracy, Donald Trump's deep state talk is divisive, extreme rhetoric, calling into question the legitimacy of federal institutions. It's a wacky right-wing extremist tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. Well, not anymore. Apparently, now a majority of Americans finally opened their eyes to the clear corruption in Washington that seeks to put their thumb on the scale. And clearly, the people can see it. Now, could you imagine if people saw the whole picture? Now, that would be the final nail in the coffin for the uniparty deep state. If people understood the Twitter files, if people understood the election interference led by the CIA and the FBI using Facebook and Twitter to suppress information that would have negatively impacted Joe Biden, not to mention the 51 former CIA official signed on letter discrediting the Hunter Biden laptop story as Russian disinformation. Could you imagine if people were aware of that, if people were aware of the media misinformation, the social media misinformation, the censorship, how bad it would be for the Democrats? Well, here's the thing. I think Democrats stepped a little bit too far and they've exposed themselves to the American people. Not a good look and not a good thing to put that kind of ammunition in the hands of your opponent, and especially not a skilled campaigner like Donald Trump. He won in 2016 because he knew what he was doing. He knew how to paint himself as a regular guy even though he was a billionaire, and how to expose Hillary Clinton as a dishonest, hypocritical crony and phony. You know, that infamous moment where she said Donald Trump pays nothing in taxes, and then he flipped it on her and said, "Of course I pay nothing in taxes, dummy. You're the one who keeps the laws like that for all your billionaire donors. You try to paint me as an evil billionaire, you're the billionaire's stooge." And then beyond that, of course, build the wall, yada, 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 the whole list of campaign issues and messaging. Well, on top of all of that, going into the next election season, Donald Trump can now run against the deep state with 10 times more credibility than he did in 2016. He has so much ammunition to campaign on the issue of a banana republic, these phony investigations, corrupt agencies, corrupt officials trying to take him down and influence elections to the benefit of Democrats. He has so much ammunition, but most importantly, he has substance and he has receipts. You know, if the Trump campaign was smart, and I think they know what they're doing and they're going to do a relatively good job when peak campaign season hits, they're going to be running ads talking about the January 6th Commission, the Hunter Biden laptop story suppression, the million phony indictments, the Mueller investigations. They're going to paint the picture. Look at all of this. Look at how badly they are abusing their power, corrupting the system in an effort to subvert a natural, genuine electoral vote and process. They are trying to subvert your vote. They're trying to take your voice away so they can handpick their little puppet presidents instead of allowing the American people to make their own decisions. They're using social media, they're using media, they're using the FBI, the CIA, the Justice Department to not only come after me, destroy me, lock me in prison based on bogus charges and allegations, but they're trying to silence your vote. That's a powerful campaign message, but what's even more significant beyond just the campaign message itself is that it's true. It's significant. And election season tends to wake people up. It tends to red pill people. You know, right now people are kind of just in the flow of their everyday life. You know, they see a headline, Trump indictment, whatever. They talk about it with people casually. But once peak election season comes, people go into research mode. In every democratic country, it's the exact same thing. The moment it's time to actually cast your vote, you see regular people all of a sudden trying to inform themselves so they can make an informed decision. You see people who are generally apolitical, all of a sudden, they're going to start delving into the details, all right? And they're going to start seeing the whole picture, and then they're going to start seeing all the allegations, all the whistleblowers, all the documents, all the evidence, photographic evidence, audio recording evidence, highlighting Joe Biden's criminal schemes and corruption. And I think what we're likely to see, at least in minor form, which is major form in terms of politics, 1% of the population or the voting population coming to these realizations, is what I think we can probably accurately describe as a mass red pilling, which was, again, another major factor in Donald Trump's 2016 presidential victory. People are waking up, and I think it's just the start. I think people are going to wake up and continue to wake up as we move forward, and as more of this information is campaigned on and exposed. I mean, Democrats are making a mistake of trying to beat a dead horse. Donald Trump cannot be more tarnished. He's already been attacked with every accusation. They've accused him of being a literal traitor, of which the penalty of treason is the death penalty. You can't go beyond that. If that didn't work, if that didn't stick, then you really think you're going to take Donald Trump down with Document Gate or the EJ Jean Carroll bogus allegation, or the totally incoherent Alvin Bragg felony indictment over falsifying records, felony campaign violations, coming from a New York district attorney and not the FEC, a case that the FEC claimed had no merit? Give me a break. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna work. It's the boy who cried wolf. It's beating a dead horse, and I hope it's not copium, but boy, I hope and I believe it's going to backfire, and backfire big. Of course, time will tell. We'll have to see. But that's my monologue. That's my rant. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we would love to have you here. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one.